Hey, what's up, everyone? You're listening to the Man Reinvented Show. I'm your host, Scott Taylor. I'm a former door-to-door salesman who gave up a six-figure income that I earned in just 4 months out of the year to pursue my passion of making a bigger impact in the world. This is the podcast where I talk with amazing people making big changes to fulfill their deeper purpose. Let's get in today's episode. All right, everyone, welcome to the Man Reinvented Show. I'm your host, Scott Taylor. I've got an amazing guy here with me. He is a social media ninja Jedi master. He helps people all over the world. He knows how to grow stuff organically. He's recently just started the Think Different Theory podcast. The founder and the host of that show, Josh Forti. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, hey, man, thanks so much for having me on here. I appreciate it. And yes, founder of Think Different Theory podcast, or, it's going to be much bigger than a podcast, back in January, and grown and managed about quick highlight reel here, because I know that's what gets people's attention. I'm not one to really flaunt my own accomplishments. I don't really like doing that, but I understand.
Brag away, dude. Brag away.
They like context. So grown and managed about 5 million followers on social media, and done several $1 million in revenue for clients and students generated for them. I have spoken on countless stages, both, all the way to small masterminds of 5-10 people, all the way up to, I think 1,200 was my biggest one so far, which decent sized, and, continuing to do that. Launched the podcast, which I'm sure we're going to get into a little bit more in after my own reinventing of my life. Had a midlife crisis, or quarter life crisis, at age 24, actually, after Funnel Hacking Live. I don't know if you guys you're familiar with that, but it's a big event.
Last one?
No, last 2018. Yep.
Oh, 2018. Okay, so I would have been.
So right after that, huh?
I was at that same one then.
Yeah. So things look great from the outside. I was killing it in business, and we can get into the story more, but long story very short, killing it in business, working 18 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, making 40, 50 grand a month, doing basically everything myself with a couple VAs, stressed out, maxed out, to the ultimate max, as you can imagine, at 24 years old. And basically it all just came crashing down. I got done with Funnel Hacking Live. I met some amazing, amazing people there. I actually spoke at a mastermind before that. It was awesome. And, I was making great money. I knew what I was doing. By no means was I a fraud, but I had no organization. I was a mess. My mental game was terrible. My relationships were terrible. My finances were, I had money, but I had no idea what I was doing with the money. And so it all came crashing down. I had to refund tens of thousands of dollars worth of clients just because I chose to, because I didn't know what happened. And it was the day I broke, and I cried my eyes out. I laid on the floor. I had no idea what was next. Blew I don't know, I probably blew 100 grand in a couple months, just being dumb, and went on this whole journey of discovering the mind mindset, and I had amazing realizations along the way, and it just frustrated me so much that nobody talked about the things that actually mattered when it came to the mind. Everyone loves to post cliche mindset quotes because it's what gets clicks, it's what gets engagement. But when you actually understand the crux of the mind, the actual understanding of how the subconscious controls us and everything like that, it would totally, radically, completely change your life. And it did for me. And so, started posting on the podcast. That's how the podcast is born. We got the Mindship Playbook coming out, and here we are. So there's the long and short of it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I was just telling Josh before I started this recording, I've been binge watching, listening to your show, and man, it's some good stuff. So guys, go check it out. Go subscribe. Go get on his podcast. He drops some value there. 25 years old, and look what he's doing. It's amazing. I know we're all on a different path, so don't compare yourself. But I know I love that episode you talked about on comparing yourselves to others. But yeah. Anyways, Josh, well, let's get into your backstory real quickly. So I know you moved around. You're in California, Indiana. Let's kind of hear just that, and then fast forward to your breakdown and how you reinvented yourself. Let's kind of go through it.
For sure. I'll give you the shorter version of it, but still going into enough detail to bring context. Yeah. Born in Wisconsin. At age 1, I moved from Wisconsin of Los Angeles, so I don't have any memory of Wisconsin, at least consciously. And then I went to, like I said, grew up in the suburbs of LA from age 1 to age 11. My dad and mom decided that they were done with LA. They were done with the city. They were going out to the country. We're planning on moving to Vermont, but my parents literally, they sold the house, they sold everything. They packed us all in the back of an RV and a semi truck. My dad bought a semi, and we drove across country. We had no idea where we were going. We had no house lined up. We had nothing. And we just started driving and got out to Indiana and just happened to stop there. I actually have no idea why we picked there. My brother, older brother, Kyle, who just recently passed away, actually, he had found a debate tournament that he wanted to go to. Ended up finding a church there. My parents settled down. We found a rental house on the road, lived there for a year. Then my parents bought a farm when I was 12, actually 4 days after my 12th birthday. We moved out to the farm where my parents live now. And so basically, I mean, I start remembering things, between 5 and 7 years old, you'll start to form a, memory and whatnot. But when I really remembered my life, I don't remember a whole lot of California like experiences. I remember specific events, but life out in California, traffic, whoop-de-doo, right? But out in the farm, that's when I really started to remember things. I formed a lot of friends out there. The first real lifelong friends that I've had since I moved around so much, and learned how to work really, really, really hard. I mean, just ridiculously hard. I was, my dad's a hard worker. My dad drives a semi truck and works a lot. My mom never stops. 8 kids in the family, now 7 after Kyle passed. And so, I mean, homeschool kid, grew up on the farm, like your typical Midwest country kid. And so went from there and homeschooled my whole life, hated college, hated school, swore I would never go, graduate high school. And I go, all right, I'm done. I'm not going to school. I'm not going to college. I'm going to farm for the rest of my life. That's what I want to do. And so I'd farmed thousands and thousands of acres, tens of thousands of bales of hay, and just everything you could think of for my neighbors who farmed thousands of acres. And we decided, all right, I'm going to start my own farm. That's what I'm going to do. And so partnered up with my neighbor. Long story short, his wife divorced him. It's the farming community. You don't have contracts and paperwork. You just take everybody's word for it. Unfortunately, that's not how it works in divorces. So she sold the company from underneath my feet. I kid you not. I parked all the equipment on I think it was a Friday or Saturday. I don't remember what it was. And I walked back I don't know, it was 2 days later or whatever it was. When I went back there, it was gone. It was all gone. And I was like, what happened? And so took that, she divorced him, that company went under. And so naturally I was like, all right, what's next? What do I do? And so I did what everybody told me to do and went to college. And so I signed up for the local community college classes. I was like, all right, I'm going to get an education. And so I went there, few missing details there, but more or less, ended up there. Got a job working at Olive Garden, which inevitably led me to getting a job in sales because I was one of the top 3 servers consistently at my whole time there. So somebody picked me up and was like, hey, I want you to come sell insurance for me. Sucked at insurance sales. Knocked on 500 doors, made no sales.
You did insurance door knocking?
Business to business, bro.
Oh,
business
wow.
to business.
Okay.
So we're talking group life and health insurance, dude. People do not want to talk to a 23-year-old, 22-year-old punk. But here's the most frustrating part for me is I'd have great conversations with people, right? And they'd like me. And then I'd go and be like, so let's talk about that. And boom, shut off. And that's just grinding my gears and me so mad. And that's actually why I started to learn about sales so much, is because I was so frustrated there. I went and studied it a lot. But anyway, went from there, started college. While I was in that was kind of one of the prerequisites for the job. I really needed to have, they needed to see that I was in a college degree. But as I was sitting in college, I could not stand it. I tried to go in with the positive attitude. I really did. I believe that. I couldn't stand it, man. It just drove me nuts. And I started studying things outside of college about business. I was going for my business degree and communications degree. I was learning business from people that had never owned a business. I was learning psychology from professors that, basically said America was the devil and that capitalism was, the death of mankind. And so we just got into it. And I'll never forget the day I quit. I actually got up, or I was in a discussion with my professor, and I was very vocal. Can't you tell? Very vocal about my beliefs and whatnot. And so we were going back and forth. And he's like, hey, listen, the reason you all are here right now is because you want to be successful. Now, I've always believed you do not need a college degree to be successful. And so I said, oh, no, no, no. Like I said, no, no, no. I am not here because I need this to be successful. And so we went back and forth, and he said, all right, so if you really don't think you need college to be successful, then why are you here? Now, me having a ridiculous ego at that point could not be one-upped. And thankfully, this is the only time I'm probably thankful for my ego. I just looked at him dead in the eye, and I was like, you're right. I'm out. And so I just stood up, I threw all my books in my bag, and I left. I walked out of college, and I never looked back. It was past the point. I didn't get a refund or anything. I said quit. On my way out, I was like, I'm going to go get rich on my own. And so I did. And I left. I got to the parking lot in my 2004 Grand Am with a duct tape window on there because I couldn't afford anything else. And I was like, here we go. And so fast forward, dropping out of there, did insurance for a while, and sitting in one of my boss's clients. Do you know the brand Carhartt?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
construction wear, basically.
Yeah. So one of their biggest competitors, and I'm sure I could probably say it, but just for the sake of that, I can say one of their biggest competitors or a company similar to that, whose headquarters is in Indiana. That was one of my boss's clients. And so we were sitting down there and we were chit-chatting back and forth, and he was talking about how the future of everything was in the online space and whatnot. And so I was like, well, all right. So I went home, and I literally, people wonder, Josh, what was your profound moment when you found internet marketing? Here it is. Ready? I went home, I went to Google, and I typed in how to make money online. So that was it. That was my gateway. And so I started seeing ads, obviously, for, different things. Long story short, I was pretty broke. I mean, I was pretty broke. And so I was saving up as much money as I could. I maybe had a couple $1,000s in savings to my name for everything. And I had debt from a car and whatnot. And so I saved up enough money to buy this course. It was $997 at the time on sale. And it was an Instagram course. And that was the gateway. And so had no social media following, I mocked Instagram for the longest time. I thought it was the stupidest thing ever. And then I realized you could make money on it. And I was like, all right, I'm in. And so went from 200 followers to, 2,000 to 10,000 to 20 to 50 to 100. And ended up finding another person online that lived close by, a couple hour drive. He also had awesome results on Instagram. We partnered up, formed a business, and went to the races.
What were you guys selling in that business?
Actually, Instagram growth services. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're like an agency then.
Yeah. I mean, because I don't know what the heck else to sell.
Yeah.
I think we sold some fitness offers because we had a couple fitness pages. I think we did some affiliate stuff off of like ClickBank or something.
Okay.
I don't know, but like we had no clue how to make money, like none at all. And, people just think because you have a lot of followers, you know how to make money. Not true at all. Like so false. And so our primary source of revenue starting out, or mine, was I sold shout outs for $20,
Really?
And then the agency came. Yeah. Like that was when I first started. And I just remember thinking it was the coolest thing in the world that someone would pay me $20 for a shout out. I was like, holy cow, this is awesome. And then I started kind of doing the math in my head. I was like, I'd have to have an awful lot of followers in order to make this work. And so I started studying marketing and figuring out how people were making, money with that. And that led me to Russell.com Secrets. And it's funny because remember I sucked at sales, right? So everyone thinks I'm a natural, they're like, oh, Josh, you must be a natural at sales. Listen, sales has nothing to do with what you can say, like being a people person. You could be a terrible people person to be awesome at sales, right? And I was a people person. So I thought I was good at sales. And so when we first started our agency, I was responsible for closing deals or trying to. I think I sat on like 30 or 40 phone calls before I closed my first one. But I'll never forget that day, man. It was like I saw the light. I knew it was possible. I'll never forget it. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. The CEO of a huge company, huge, like $100 million company when it comes. Is my camera lens? Am I like blurry?
It got a little dim. I don't know what happened.
That's weird. Here, hold on.
Maybe you spit on it or something. I don't know.
Here, let me try to wipe the. Let's try to wipe the lens here real quick.
Hey, that cleared it up. That's what it was.
So, but I'll never forget it. That was the day. It was a $3,500 deal. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and the guy, we pitched him, and I never actually gotten to a pitch before. They had never asked me for a price. That's how bad I was. And so he's like, well, how much? And I'm like, $3,500. Now, mind you, at this point, the only thing that I'd sold for even close to that in my own life was like $500, maybe, right? Like that was an astronomical amount of money for me. And he's like, cool, send the invoice. I didn't know I didn't even know how. I didn't have PayPal. I didn't have a business email set up. I had nothing. And so I was like, all right, sounds good. So I get off, I create the email, I create the PayPal account, and I send it off, and he paid. And that was the beginning of the agency.
And that was your first client. That's awesome.
That was our first legit client.
Legit client, not a shout out.
Not a shout out.
$500. That's awesome, dude.
Changed my life, dude.
Were you just primarily focusing on Instagram for those customers, those kind of clients?
You mean to get them?
Yeah.
So actually, no, he actually came off Facebook.
Oh,
so
okay.
we went and we focused all of our time and effort on growing Instagram accounts. But because I was in a Facebook group with the course that I bought, and I just always posted my results every day, just for my own accountability. I was like, here's what I've done. Here's what I've done. People started to know me. So it was actually a referral off that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. See, my playground is Facebook. I know nothing about Instagram. Like I've been focusing on Facebook.
Facebook's awesome, man. I mean, I love Facebook. I have, 30,000 member group, 15,000, followers on there. And one of the things that I think is interesting, it kind of makes my story unique, is I've never spent a dime on ads to grow any of these pages, like paid ads from the platform. Shout outs, obviously, but on Facebook, never a dollar when it comes to growing a group or page or anything like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to go there and kind of talk a little bit about strategy on Facebook and Instagram, social media stuff you teach people. But I'd like to hear more about where you kind of came to an unraveling point.
Yeah.
And then let's come back to the Facebook strategies and Instagram stuff.
For sure. Let's see. So about a year after I started the company, sold it to my business partner. Had different views for the company. I mean, we were young. It was our first company. So he wanted to take it one way. I sold it to him. Started a new journey. Did a lot of agency stuff. By this time, I started to master sales pretty well. Got pretty good at being able to convince people to buy stuff from me. And so started landing clients for Instagram growth and just for other things, but I'd outsource it. And so I had, a bunch of buddies that would do growth. So I'd sell something for $5,000 and turn around and, buy it for $2,500 and take the cut. Right. And so I would did this, and then I decided I'm going to go make $1 million. That was my goal. And so I publicly went online and I stated, all right, I'm going to make $1 million out of Facebook group. I don't know, it was maybe 8,000 members at this point. And I said, I'm going to live stream every single day until I do that. And so I did. I started, it was 365 days to 7 figures. That was my goal. Got, 100 and some days in, maybe 170 days. And at this point, I'm cranking. Nobody works harder than I do when I'm in the zone that I've
You're in the farm zone, huh?
When I was at the farm zone, when I was starting my first farming company, going back to that, I worked a full-time night shift job, 40, sometimes 50 hours a week. Then I ran the farming company on average. My average, in a year and a half time frame, and this is not made up numbers, actual factual, I think the least amount of hours I ever worked in 1 week was 80 in a year and a half period on the clock. Wow. And most was 100 and I don't know, it was something stupid, 127 or something like that in a week. It was stupid. So anyway,
so you were hustling hard, and this is where you were making 50 something grand a month.
Yeah, I was making 40, 50. I think the best month was 60. Yeah, I mean money coming in, right? And obviously there's costs there, right? It wasn't profit, but revenue generated 40, 50,000 a month. Yeah. And so then, I don't know, it was probably November of 2017. I started to realize I'm stuck, but it's I reached this point where I'm too far in to quit and reorganize and create systems, because I'd have to cancel clients, but I'm also too disorganized to scale. So I'm realizing I'm stuck here, and I'm all right, I got to figure out a way to transition out. And I tried to keep going. And it was right before Christmas time when I realized this is bad news, and stuff started to kind of spiral out of control there. But I kept it going. I kept it afloat enough to, maintain my brand, my audience. I've got a following at this point. Right. And so then February comes. I love Funnel Hacking Live. I love Russell. I go there. Now, mind you, I'm really well known in that community. I wasn't so much at that time, but I went to the last Funnel Hacking Live just this past year. And dude, it's the only place on earth where I feel like a celebrity. It's awesome, right? Like I love it. It's so much fun.
Everyone's coming up to you. Hey, take a picture with me, Josh.
Probably 100 people. Not even kidding you. I probably in a matter of like 2 days. I'm not.
That's so
It was
funny.
awesome. It was like I felt really it stroked my ego.
You're a rock star, bro.
But the coolest part was not so much that people recognize me, but that to see the efforts of social media actually transform to real life tangible results, right? Like anybody can go be famous and get known, but to actually have people coming up to you and being like, hey, Josh, you helped me do this, or you helped me change my life. Not, hey, you made me laugh one time. You know what I mean? And so that was really big for me. But anyway, going back to 2018, I sit there and make some cool friends, meet some cool people at Funnel Hacking Live. But, you know, they sell hope a lot, you know, which is good. And it helps. But the reverse effect of that when you have a negative mindset or when your life is falling apart behind the scenes is you feel very, very, very discouraged. And that's what hit me at that point. And so I got done. I remember going home and it was actually in the room right behind where this wall is. It is there's a sliding glass door that goes out to a porch that
I saw you live. You were laying on the porch.
I was laying right inside the door. Yeah. And I broke, man. It all hit me at once. I couldn't do it anymore. And it got to the point where, like, dude, it was so bad. I wrapped myself in a blanket and just was like, I'm so done. And like, I've never been suicidal and I wasn't suicidal then. But at that moment, I understood why people got to that point. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been to that point. It's not something to joke about or even say that you have been if you haven't been, but I got it. Like, I understood how much stress can just mess you up. And as I laid there, I was like, I don't know what the answer is, but everyone tells me it's mindset. I got to figure it out. You know, and it was the worst. It really was. And so I lit a cigarette, which I'd never smoked, or I don't think ever in my life before, at least not cigarettes. And it was a big no-no for me. Then? I mean, I had gone to the gas station and gotten it because I knew, like, on the way home or whatever it was. Yeah, people ask that. I guess that's an important thing. I don't know. I got at a gas station or something. And so, yeah, it was bad. And so I was like, I'm gonna go. And so I canceled the clients. Like, I couldn't, like, I was so down and like broken in that point, like, just to go get, like, you know, in the upcoming weeks, like, just to ask me to go to reply to an email was like asking me to, I don't know, like, go build a brand new business. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like I couldn't bring myself to do even the most simple things. I laid in bed for like a week and I just caught up on sleep. I hadn't been sleeping, right? I mean, like, I was sleeping 3-4 hours a night, maybe 5 hours a night for like the last year. So I was exhausted. I was mentally, physically, everything was drained. And so at that point, I was like, all right, the only way that I know out of this is to study the mindset. Because if I can master that, if there's something there that I don't know, then that must be the answer, right? Like, that's got to be it. There's no Facebook ad. I know how the algorithms work. I know how to drive traffic. I know the basic understanding of funnels. Turns out I had no idea how to build systems, which was the biggest piece of it there for me. And so I was like, all right, here we in. I'm all in. I'm going to go study the mind. And so I did for the next 18 months. Well, now we'll mark about 18 months from that time. But for the next year, I did. And I studied, I focused on business people to start out with and, you know, started studying that. But that actually led me to Joe Dispenza. Do you know Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Yeah. I've been like geeking out on him lately.
Yeah. So
he's amazing.
Yeah. So the first book I read still to this day, outside of the Bible, is probably my favorite book, is Psycho-Cybernetics, which is not by Joe Dispenza. That's by Maxwell Maltz.
Yep. That's an old book.
Right. Gateway drug to mindset for me, though. Holy cow. I like read that and I was like, oh, okay. Like I read it and it made sense. And I was like, okay, I've got it. Like, I know that there's things out here that I don't know and I need to figure out. And then from there, probably the most fundamentally like understanding of the mind and how it worked for me was by Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Phenomenal book. And so, I mean, I read everything. I studied, I read. A lot of these books were fluff, right? You get to these personal development and they're just like affirmation crap. And I'm like, this is dumb. This is so stupid. Yeah. And then I got down to it. And the thing that changed, like the thing that blew my mind and that made me, so like I think each person comes to a different realization in their life when they get to this point. Like some people just are able to accept things without knowing the science behind them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is just how they are. Law of attraction works. I don't know how it does. It just does. But to me, if a lot of people think it's crap, then I need to know the science behind why it's not crap in order for me to believe it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was studying the mind, the whole subconscious, conscious thing blew my mind 90%. And we can get into this later. 90% of everything that we do is subconscious, which means that we're not actually aware of what we do, act, say, and believe on a daily basis.
Yeah,
like, that's crazy.
That's crazy. And it's attached to our past.
And it's attached, everything's attached to the past.
All of our feelings. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but the thing that blew my mind more than anything else, and is the topic that completely changed my life, was the topic of quantum physics. And when I discovered quantum physics and I understood at a very simplistic level on how quantum physics worked, my mind was completely blown. And I never doubted the law of attraction. I never doubted the power of energy. I never doubted the power of the mind ever again. And I never will for as long as I live, as long as quantum physics exists, which is, the makeup of everything. And so that really changed my life. And so I learned I got put onto that by Sam Ovens. Do you know Sam?
Oh yeah.
Sam? Yeah. So love Sam. And, he's the one person that put me onto that, started to study that more. That got me into a whole different, realms of research, but that changed my life. It really did. So that's kind of the long and short. I transformed my life. I mean, like, I cannot explain to you how much of a different person is. And it's funny, I met my girlfriend, right around the time, actually, shortly after, within a month or two after that breakdown is when I actually met my current girlfriend. And so it's funny because she was there for me when we met, was at a very low point, but she didn't see like leading up to that. And I'm very thankful for that, because I was a totally different, I don't think she would have dated me, honestly, if she would have seen me prior to that. I was a totally different person. And so by understanding habits, by understanding the mind, by understanding how that worked, I was able to go transform my life, transform my happiness, my mindset, my fulfillment, my daily, everything about it, man. And that came to me through the power of, the research.
Yeah, I found, like, I love Joe Dispenza, but I watched mainly his videos. I haven't read his book yet. I need to read his book, but man, he is like such a scientist, and sometimes he like geeks out too much, or like, I don't know what the word is.
Yeah.
But I love his stuff.
It's technobabble. It's
technobabble.
Yeah. It's super hard to understand, but I also believe that I think he knows that. And I think I don't know. I've never met the guy. I haven't talked to him. For me, someone that is geeky out about it, I like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He mesmerizes you the way he speaks. And you're like, man, I want to listen to that again. And then again. And I've listened to some of his videos like, 10 times now. And
yeah,
just because I'm like, whoa. One time I fell asleep listening to him. And I woke up like, what is going on? What am I listening to?
Yep.
I had fallen asleep in the night, like 2 or 3 in the morning. I woke up. Joe Dispenza is speaking in my headphones.
Yeah.
But he's amazing. I love him. So I'm gonna get his book. I think I'll get his audio book.
Well, we're giving it away, actually, with the Mindshift playbook drop next week. So
are you? Okay.
Yeah, several of his books.
Why don't you talk really quick about that? I know you wanted to I wanted to give you a plug on that. That's kind of why we're doing this right now.
Yeah. So feel free. I mean, we still have time, so we can go into more stuff, after this. But essentially, I took everything that I learned over the past 18 months, and I boiled it down to non-technobabble and boiled it down to like a 5-part process, essentially, that I went through and that I've taken other people through and that we talk about on the podcast. And I wrote something called the Mindshift Playbook. And it's not a full book. It eventually will turn into that once we kind of get to that point. But right now it's about 65 pages long. It's a 5-part process. It's got workbooks and worksheets. And the goal is to help you understand how to rewire your brain for success, how to transform your mindset and create habits that actually last, and inevitably go and revolutionize or change your life through that by tapping into the power of the subconscious mind and with habits and everything of that nature. And I really felt that I needed to write it after I learned about quantum physics. For me was one of those things where I'm like, this is fascinating. I know it's not for everyone to understand. Not everyone's going to care about it. But then this whole 90% of everything we do is subconscious. I knew at that point, I was like, I've got to write something. I got to do it. And so had amazing feedback back from the first version. This is the second version that's coming out, much more expanded, much more detailed, but still very easy to understand. And it's called the Mindshift Playbook, 5 simple ways to rewire your brain for success, create habits that actually last, and transform your mind.
And you're launching next week, right?
Monday, yeah, July 1st.
Monday, okay.
Yeah, so when this drops, it'll probably be this week. Monday, July 1st through July 5th. You'll be able to download it for free. And then we're also, anyone that downloads it, we're giving away, we're doing $3,000 worth of prizes and giveaways, including, I don't know, like 10 or 15 different books. I have a whole stack over here. We just had the author of Never Split the Difference on. Actually, today I interviewed him.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, so we interviewed
Chris
him for
Voss.
the podcast.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so Wednesday, July 3rd, his interview drops. We're giving away his book, a bunch of Joe Dispenza books, a bunch of mindset books, psychocybernetics, all sorts of fun stuff, Power of Habit, and we'll be giving all those away next week. So if you want
Where do people find it?
Yeah, go to thinkdifferenttheory.com/playbook, and you'll be able to get the free playbook. And just for downloading it, you'll be automatically qualified to win. And we'll send out emails of all of our winners on the 6th, July 6th.
Awesome. I'm on your waiting list, so people can go there right now. Get on the waiting list. Obviously, it's in a few days, but super cool.
Yeah. When are you dropping this episode, though?
Well, I was planning on dropping it today.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah.
I'm behind on dropping a bunch of other stuff I've done. I'm just going to drop yours today because, I want to help push out the word. So
yeah, so thinkdifferenttheory.com/playbook goes live Monday. The place to get the playbook now is, I think it's like a hard line. I think it's joshforti.com/MSPB, Mindshift Playbook, waitlist, or I don't know, we'll drop the link below in the description. I'll send it over.
I'll get the link from you. So,
but that's the wait list. And then Monday through Friday, get the playbook. You'll get automatically qualified to win. And then after Friday, you can still get the playbook for free, but it will just be not with the prizes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. You're speaking my soul, brother. I mean, in this entrepreneurial game that we're playing, I mean, I've been in door-to-door sales for 10 years, and I've transitioned into high ticket sales. I close for Steven now with his MLM.
Oh, really?
Marketing. Yeah. And so, dude, when you're faced with challenging things like this, like, it is so much about the mind. When I went through door to door, like, just similar to you, like, I learned to become a salesman, and I'm like one of the top, 1 to 5% in the door to door industry now. But it just wasn't working out. I needed to make a transition, and I transitioned to what I'm doing now. But going through that experience of hitting that challenge of, like, when you're doing something super hard, everything that you don't like about yourself just comes up. And it's like you're staring at yourself in the mirror, and all your demons are facing right back at you. And you've got to figure out this thing, this crazy thing between your ears.
Yeah, it's the mind, and I talk about this in the Mindshift Playbook. It's actually in the videos that will be running to promote it. The mind is a superpower. It really is. It is, for the average person, you cannot comprehend how powerful the mind actually is. Like, it's undescribably powerful. But most people never understand that, realize that, or whatever. And like, even I, in all of my knowledge of studying it for the last 18 months, have no idea how powerful it is. But I understand that. But the thing that nobody ever taught me, and the thing that I wish people understood, was that if you don't know how to use it, it will control you. It will prevent you from doing the most basic things. I mean, like, even from just like forming habits to, like that, like all those things. It will prevent you and limit you from making a lot of money, from having success, from, doing, like, going up to that girl or guy and talking to them. It's going to prevent you from doing those things if you don't know how to actually control it. And once I understood that, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I've just got to figure out the basics of that. And what's interesting is that a lot of people in the entrepreneur space, kind of going back to that thing, we think that success means doing more things. And when you think different, which is why this is called the Think Different Theory, and when you start to see things from a new perspective and understand how the mind works and different things work, you recognize that the key to success truly is just finding the points of highest leverage. And the way that I recommend, or like kind of look at it, the analogy that I use is like, imagine you have a little like garden shovel, okay? And you're trying to dig a hole, and you're trying to do something amazing. We all start out with just this garden shovel, and we all have to go dig a hole. We get to decide how big of the hole that we want to dig, and the size of the hole equals success, or whatever it is that we want to do. Well, we might go, and what most of us think, and what we do is like, we need to become successful. We need to get a bigger garden shovel, right? And so we go, and that's true. Like we could step up to like a full shovel, and right, we'll go and we'll do that. And then other people will be like, well, that's dumb. If I'm doing all the work, I shouldn't get a garden shovel, right? What if I went and what if I built got a team of people with shovels? And so then we went and, they see it, and that's awesome, right? And like now you're getting so much more done instead of just doing the garden shovel, right? You go and you got a team of it, and you just sit back there and manage the team, and they're going to dig that hole so much faster. Well, guess what? Most people like stop at that first level, and they stop thinking about it because that's all they've seen anybody else do. What's the next point of highest leverage? Well, what if I use I don't know, it doesn't take me a whole lot of energy to scoop a little garden shovel, right? A whole lot less than a full shovel. Well, it takes me about the exact same power or pressure to scoop that as it does to push a lever in an excavator. Yep. Now, let me ask you, if you've got a team of 50 people, or one excavator with a big old giant bucket on it, who's going to win?
Excavator.
That's every time, right? And so it's like, cool, well, that's awesome. Well, then you could be like, well, I'll just go get an excavator. Well, then there's another level, right? And it always goes up. Then you can get a team of excavators. And then you can remove yourself from that process and be like, cool, then just build a company. And then a team of, and there's always this next level that you can be leveling up to in your mind. And so many people are trying to build an empire or trying to go out and have success in their life with a garden shovel. And if you would just go and like shift your mindset, shift your perspective, and master your ability to say, okay, listen, there's a lot of people that are happy scooping with a garden shovel. There's a lot of people that are happy or need the experience of scooping with a regular shovel. It doesn't make you a bad person or an evil person if you want to go be the one that employs those people with the garden shovels or the regular shovels or even the excavator drivers. A lot of people don't want the stress of these higher level positions. And simply when you understand how to build systems, which is the next like most mind-blowing thing. Once I understood systems, I was like, oh my gosh, my life has changed. Sam Ovens put me onto that. But like when you understand how to do that, simply all you're doing is instead of taking your mind to actually go and focus on these little itty bitty things, right? That are like the details and the minute things. If you want to go do bigger things or make a transition, that doesn't mean you have to stop doing what you're doing. It simply means that you need to replace your role in what you're doing and go figure out how to leverage other people's time or money or things. Find the people that fit that role. And boom, your whole entire life can be changed. But you're not going to be able to see those things. You're not going to be able to be the person capable of doing any of those things. You're not going to be able to be the person that's capable of success until you first fix this, the mind. And so like you will, and like I can't even explain how it works. Like you literally will self-sabotage yourself from doing anything great unless you first believe and master the mind. It's the reason that, when I made a bunch of money, because I had some money saved up. Right? I was doing good for 24 years old. Problem is I self-sabotaged because I didn't believe I was worthy of it. And so I blew, 6 figures and like that, it's like, if I could go grab that back, but now I've fixed the mind. So now if you gave me $1 million, I wouldn't blow it. Why? Because I feel worthy of having that now. And now I know what to do here. So it all starts with that. It all comes back to the mind. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. Nobody teaches it. Tony Robbins, I think, does a pretty good job. I don't agree with everything that he does, but I think Tony Robbins is a good person in that space. But like in this biz op, MLM, entrepreneur, internet marketing, business in general space, everyone thinks that the hack is a Facebook ad or the hack is a funnel. Let me tell you something. I don't care if you make $1 million, you will blow it. Yeah. You'll ruin it. I'm proof. You know what I mean? Like you'll ruin your life unless you first go fix the mind. And once you understand how the mind works, it's like your whole life just changes. Everything just makes sense and falls into place. Sorry, I kind of rambled there.
No, you're fine. Love it, man. Love the passion. It's amazing. I mean, it's all about becoming the person that can handle. Everyone says, oh, I want $1 million. I want to win the lottery. But we all know that everyone that wins the lottery becomes bankrupt within a certain amount of time. They can't handle it. They're not ready. They're not prepared for it. So
it's how you handle that. Yeah. And equally as important as becoming that person, which is absolutely crucial, is killing the version of yourself that's not capable. Because, if you've got, the only way you ruin Rome fell from within, right? The United States, when it inevitably probably falls, which will be a sad day. Hopefully not in my lifetime, but it'll be from within, know? And that's the same thing is true in your mind. The only way that you can destroy your mind is from within. So kill off the people or the parts of your mind that are going to destroy you.
So stop being your old self, or stop being yourself, basically.
Stop being yourself and become the person that you need to become.
Yep.
Simple in
Yeah,
concept.
dude, I
much
got to
harder in
read that
application.
book. I got to read it.
And right, crazy, right? It matches the title, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Oh yeah.
The subtitle is literally, I'm looking at it right now, How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. Right? It's amazing. It's absolutely
I'm
phenomenal.
going to buy that book. Today's my birthday. I'm not trying to make a big announcement.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to
Happy
go buy
birthday
that
for
book
you.
for my birthday present
Happy
for
birthday,
myself.
bro.
Thanks, dude. So awesome, man. Love it. Okay, so let's just keep going. So where are you trying to go? Like, are you still doing the agency stuff with social media? You're still doing that, right?
Yes,
Are you
but
transitioning into a whole new thing?
yeah.
That's what I
So
get the feeling.
this is the future, bro. This right here. Part of my identity shifts and things that went on is I had no clarity in who I wanted to become. I did a podcast episode yesterday, I think, with J.R. Rivas.
Uh-huh.
And he said it's interesting because I went through this exact same process. I tried to find my identity in my work. And so I was like, I don't want to be an agency owner. I don't want to be the Facebook ads guy. I don't want to be blah. And I would put my identity in those things. And then all of a sudden I was like, whoa, holy cow. That's like putting your identity in a girl, right? Or putting your identity in money, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid, right? You just don't do that. So I refound my identity in God, my identity with myself. And I was like, all right, what is it that I actually want to do with my life? What do I want to go out and create and, be a part of? And listen, I know a lot of people say this and, are like, oh, I'm so passionate about, no, I bleed and just absolutely love teaching and education. And it, like, the education world is like, I do not recommend you go into it if you are not ridiculously passionate about teaching and helping people. It is way easier to make money in so many other fields. And people are like, yeah, everybody likes to sell education because you make the most amount of money. It's way easier to make money long-term with so many other fields. But for me, I'm very passionate about education. I'm very passionate about creating audiences and really providing quality content. And so I do have an agency. I have it with a business partner. In fact, in January, when I started the podcast, I partnered up with a very good friend of mine named Lauren. And she and I sat down and we're like, okay, she had just had a kid, and she was like, I want to build a business that works on its own. And I was like, cool, I want to build a business and that works on its own. And I said, I don't want to sell it. I just want the money from it. I want to learn how it's done, but no part of me wants an agency. And so I was like, all right, let's build an agency so I can get the experience and then sell it. And so we built, back in January, we started a company, and every step of the way, we've been systemizing everything. And we've basically got it all on almost complete autopilot right now. I don't handle anything from.
It's a total team.
Total everything. The only part that I'm still involved in is closing sales calls, but we're bringing in salespeople. We're training them now. It's just a matter of finalizing that. But once that piece is done, it's a $50,000 a month business cruising without us touching it. And so, that, all through systems, all through processes, the team members and things like that. So that's set there. And then once that gets to a certain point, I will inevitably sell when, this becomes too big to focus on anything else. But this is the future. This is the goal. Content, education. Think like Gary Vaynerchuk meets Goalcast meets a clean version of Gary Vaynerchuk. And I love Gary. Like Gary and I have had.
He's got a foul mouth though.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you saw the viral video of him just roasting me. It's been
I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, it's been all over. This was back at a ClickFunnels event. We were doing a Q&A, and I called out his Jets because I'm a Patriots fan, and he roasted me. And it was great because he put me all over social media, every single platform, and now he follows me on Twitter. So
you gotta love the hate, man. You gotta love the hate.
Yeah, of course, man. Bring it on. But anyway, so yeah, the Think Different theory is the future. Mindset, education, true success in all areas of life. That's the goal. Success in money, success in business, success in health, success in relationships, success in faith. That's the ultimate goal of the Think Different theory, and creating a movement of people that are, not afraid to be misunderstood, not afraid to think different, not afraid to be out there and just be crazy themselves in the best way possible.
Cater to the crazy entrepreneur.
Not even just the entrepreneur, man. Like, yeah, we're entrepreneur focused now, but like, the crazy person, like, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to be successful, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I wouldn't really consider a lot of YouTubers and Instagrammers entrepreneurs, right? Like, yeah, they might work for themselves, but that's not really an entrepreneur, right? Like, a vlogger, and I have mad respect for those people, and I want to attract them. You know, the people that want more out of life, that want to live life without limits, that want to go out and make an impact that actually changes the world and actually transform their life. And the older you get, the harder it becomes. And, you know, Ty Lopez has talked about this, and, you know, Tom Bilyeu has talked about this. Like, you know, oftentimes later on in life, the only way that somebody makes a change is through traumatic experience, right? I just had my brother pass away tragically in a helicopter crash. I'm only 25. That messed me up, right?
That was
So
what, 8 months ago?
March 9th, not even.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
So like that'll mess you up, right?
Oh
And so
yeah.
like that's how most people change. However, I'm here to say, yes, that is how most people change. However, guess what? This is what the Mindship Playbook is all about. You don't have to have a traumatic event to change. There's something called, Tony Robbins talks about the 2 mm shift, right? I'm talking about you change one habit in your life, one, and that will put you on a totally new path to a completely changed life, because we talk about this in the Mindship Playbook. Habits form your beliefs form your identity controls everything that you do. And I explain why that's the case, but in order to change your identity, you must change your beliefs. In order to change your beliefs, the only way that you change your beliefs is to change the environment upon which that belief was formed. So like a belief is simply formed by a circumstance plus an emotion. Okay. So you have a circumstance plus an emotion that forms your belief about that thing. So if I've had 10,000 negative experiences with, you know, experience plus emotion about money, guess what I'm going to think? I'm going to have a negative views of money. However, if all of a sudden I just go and say, you know what, rather than having that, I'm going to change one habit in my life so that every single day I hear one positive thing about money. Guess what I'm doing? I'm rewriting that experience plus emotion, which means I'm rewriting my belief. And eventually, with one habit change about that, I can completely, radically, and fundamentally transform my belief about money, which transforms my belief about my identity and myself. And suddenly I become okay with making a lot of money simply by changing one habit. It's not going to happen overnight, but we live in this society that's like, I need it now, which is why the only thing that changes people when they're older is traumatic events. But if I can convince you and I can make you believe that if you simply change one habit in your life, you can go on and change your belief system, then you're going to want to change one habit, and then 3, and then 20. And eventually in 5 years from now or 10 years from now, you're going to be a completely radically different person than you were, 5 years ago.
Wow. That's amazing, man. Yeah, see, I have a similar situation where, I mean, nothing traumatic really, but I just felt like I was going, the reason for this podcast that I started is I was going down a direction that I just didn't want to go anymore. And I found myself kind of stuck. I was kind of at the top of like, I reached the top. I couldn't make any more unless I wanted to start another pest control company. And let's face it, I don't even care about pest control. I just like the business model. And so I just had this, and I have a growing family, 4 kids. And I'm like, man, I really need to make a huge change. 10 years though, like I've been doing this. And so that's why ultimately like I had this feeling like I'm so unsatisfied, so unfulfilled. I'm so unhappy. My identity was, I have this pest control business, and then we sold it. And then now I was just a sales contractor. I'm like, this isn't enough,
Yeah.
Plus with the family not wanting to move every year. And so hence I've made this transition, and it's been awesome, but it's been painful, man. The mind has been the hardest part about it. So,
yeah. And controlling it always is.
Yeah.
I think that my thought on that, and if I could leave you with this on that topic, is that the mind, because of your subconscious controlling 90% of everything that you do, you got to remember your identity, your beliefs, your emotion, and your habits all live and are stored in the subconscious mind. Okay. So whatever your subconscious mind believes, that is the rabbit hole you're going to go down. But that is equally true when it's an uphill trajectory of positivity. If you can inevitably reprogram your mind to default to going uphill, it will go uphill and climb that ladder to success just as fast as it will spiral out of control. And so, and that's why like I'm very passionate about the mind. And so, yes, it is an incredibly painful experience, but understand that your subconscious, your mind, it's not one single thing, right? Your subconscious mind is made up of every memory, every experience, every belief, every emotion you've ever felt. And so all you're doing during this process is you're basically telling your mind, well, the reason it's painful is your conscious mind is going, okay, conscious, this is the way we're going to do it. And your subconscious mind goes, oh, no, 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 you don't get to tell me that. You get to tell me what you want, but not how to do it, right? And so when you're going through there, that painful process is just the reprogramming of that mind. And if you can ever get out of that, like if you can ever make that switch, when you inevitably make that switch, like going to the gym, destroying those muscles to build them back up, destroying that subconscious to build it back up. Not a great analogy, but you get the idea. You will inevitably change your life forever. And just little things though. It's not, you don't have to do major things every single day. You just have to, get in the routines of doing 1 or 2 or 3 things a day that inevitably change your mind, and you'll have a completely changed life.
Yeah. Forcing myself to start this podcast, I've just been consistently doing it and I love it now. But man, when I first started it, my first couple interviews, man, I was like sweating bullets. I was so nervous, I just started. I just forced myself.
And the thing I love about podcasts though, dude, is it opens up so many doors. Like it gives you a reason to talk to people. We just interviewed obviously Chris Voss, Ryan Stewman, Natalie Hodson, Steve Larson for an hour. Like I can literally just be like, yo, want to hop on the podcast, right? And they're like, yeah, I get to talk to these amazing people, but it brings them benefit. And it's crazy. Yep. I'm not saying that everybody should go start a podcast, but everybody needs to have that one thing that if you can find a thing, this winning formula of like, if you can find a thing that puts you out of your comfort zone, yet brings you amazing connections or value to somebody else's life, holy cow, it's like a win-win.
Yeah.
And so whether that's a Facebook group or an Instagram page or a podcast or a business, like whatever that is, all of a sudden you have leverage in areas that you never knew you had before or didn't have before. And it pushes you out of your comfort zone because dreams die in the comfort zone and they grow, and change life grows outside of it.
Oh yeah. Amen, brother. Amen. Hey, did you get Bernie Sanders lined up?
Not yet. We're still working on Andrew Yang.
I thought you were joking about that. I didn't know for sure. So
No. Seriously though, we reached out to his campaign. We've been in talks with Yang's campaign, and we're trying to get him on. And
who's Yang? I don't even know who that is.
Andrew Yang. He's actually, so he's the guy. He's like the number 3. So there's Biden, Bernie, and then Yang
on the
Andrew
Democrat side.
On the Democrat side, he's actually super smart. He's very entrepreneurial. He took a company, I want to say it was to $1 billion. And
Bernie Sanders did?
No, Andrew Yang.
Oh, Andrew Yang. Okay.
And so he's very, very smart. And he was on Joe Rogan's show. That's actually how I found him. And his whole platform, his whole campaign that he's running on is the concept of universal basic income. He wants to give $1,000 to every single human being over the age of 18 every month in the US. Now, at first, it sounds crazy, right? And obviously, I don't support it. I support the free market. But I think a lot of people discredit him because it sounds like an outrageous idea. But he's actually a very, very smart dude. And he has a way to pay for it, which it makes sense. It won't work, I don't believe, but it makes like actual logical sense. He's very well thought out. He's very well educated. Anything that he supports or put behind is not fluff. It's very thought through and written out and detailed. And I respect that a lot. Disagree with him, obviously, but I would love to have a conversation about that, why he's running the way that he's running, and, talk about that. And his reasoning behind the universal basic income is because he believes automation is going to put everybody out of work, robots. And so anyway, we're working on him. No guarantees yet, but we'll see.
Anybody on the Republican side?
I mean, I'd love to have Trump, but okay.
That'd be pretty cool. Get Bernie Sanders and then Trump on. That'd be pretty sweet.
Well, my thought is if I can get Yang, right, I could probably get Bernie. I have a couple of friends that work or connections that work over there to Bernie, but I got to give Bernie a reason, right?
Yeah.
And so my hope is that I can work my way up. It'd have to be a while. I don't even think Trump hasn't even been on Joe Rogan, right? So like, the chances of that are like 1 in 10 billion.
You know Joe?
No, I don't know Joe. Someday.
Okay.
Someday. No, but
someday.
That's the goal.
Dream 100, right?
Yeah. And
Dream 100.
The thing with Joe is that Joe will interview anyone if they're interesting, right? Like that's his whole premise. And so for me, that like my goal is to inevitably get on his show, but I mean, that's a huge dream of mine. Two podcasts I want to be on. I don't really care about so many other podcasts, but there's 2 that I really want to be on. One is Joe Rogan. The other one is Logan Paul. Those are the 2.
I don't even know Logan Paul.
Huh?
I've never heard of Logan Paul.
Oh, Logan Paul's a huge
Check it out.
YouTuber. No. Logan Paul is not entrepreneurial. He is extremely controversial.
Okay.
Chachi blonde, 24-year-old, 20 million subscriber,
Okay.
internet famous YouTuber. He's got a podcast called Impulsive. Very foul, very not a target demographic.
Kind of like PewDiePie.
Yeah, but him and PewDiePie they go back and forth, beef. Yeah. That's the market, right?
PewDiePie, man, that guy has an amazing reach. Holy crap. And he's just playing video games. That's insane.
Yeah. So those are the dream ones, but we'll get there little by little, man.
Cool. Well, we're kind of digressing here, but lots of fun, man. Where do you want to go next? I mean, I want to cover one more thing. It was like your Instagram social media strategies, like what you teach people in that. I'm really curious about that. That's what I'm involved with right now. Was I skipping out on you?
Yeah, sorry. You said something about social media strategies.
So I kind of wanted to hear a little bit about what you teach. I'd say beginners. What do you tell them to do when they're moving into social media? So I'm choosing Facebook, for example.
Good.
Be my one platform. I'm not touching anything else.
Well, there's step one right there. Pick your platform.
Yep.
Number one mistake people make is picking multiple. I very much disagree with Gary Vaynerchuk.
Everywhere all at the same time.
You can't, bro. Not unless you're rich.
You have a content team that's
right.
You're paying $20,000 a month to, right?
Right. If you're Russell Brunson, Gary Vaynerchuk, even Steve Larson, right? If you got that kind of cash, great. But let me tell you something. The only platform that Steve gets on a daily basis is maybe Instagram stories and a little bit on Facebook. Like that's it. Like his team does the rest. He's not on social. And neither are, Russell or any other of the big dogs. So I'd say step one is pick a platform. Step two is really read expert secrets. But step two is pick your message, pick your audience. You got to know who it is that you're targeting. If you don't know who you're targeting, start with your message and figuring out like what it is that you want to talk about, and then find the audience that fits the message. That's what I did, and that's what I think a lot of people need to do to start out. Once you get clear on that, man, it is about consistency and quality of content, and then engaging with your fans. The one thing that I like to tell people is everyone complains about the stupid platforms, algorithms, like, oh, Instagram, algorithm, Facebook, blah. They just suck at creating content. Like that's just the truth. If you have good content, it just doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like you look at like someone like a Mr. Beast. Like Mr. Beast is like, he came from nowhere. He's got 20 million subscribers like that. And I watched an interview from him, and you know what he said? He's like, listen, I realized something. Everybody else was putting out average, mediocre videos and growing like wildfire and like crazy. I didn't want to put out a daily video. So I thought, what if I released one video a week and spent like, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 per video making it, doing outrageously crazy things. And he's like, I didn't start there, but he goes, I produced the best videos, crazy, outlandish things. Why? Because I know that that's going to work. And so consistency and quality is going to win when you know your market. If you know your market, you know what they want, you give it to them. I promise you, it doesn't matter what platform, it doesn't matter what algorithm. Facebook wants to do that. And so I would say, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I
was going to say, pick your platform, pick your message / your market, know what they want, and put out consistent quality content about that. And then as fast as possible, as fast as you possibly can, once you start putting out good, consistent content, start collaborating. Like just like network like your life depended on it. That is the
so like starting a podcast, talking to other people, getting them on your show, something like that.
And you don't even have to start a podcast. If Facebook's your platform, and I mean, you have the podcast, which is great, but if you're starting from scratch, let's say that Facebook's your only platform, right? I'm friends with a dude that manages, they get 1 billion views a month on Facebook. He manages all the big pages, everything, right? All of them. So at any given point in time, let's say Russell hit me up or his team and was like, yo, Josh, I want to get in touch with, I want to grow my page by 1 million followers in the next 3 months. Sweet. Sounds good. I can do it. I'll hook them up, connection. Boom. Well, you start making connections like that, right? Start networking with those type of people, or you do that on a smaller scale when you're first getting started. It's that same concept, right? So like you go and find value in people. When I first started on Instagram, the person that I wanted to get in touch with was Jason Stone. He was the big wig in my community, right? The person that I followed. So what did I do? I just studied him over and over and over again until he finally told me what he wanted. It took me like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden he goes, yeah, we're looking to start a YouTube channel. We're just trying to figure that whole thing out. It was like on his story. Boom. I found someone that was good at YouTube. I connected them via email. I was like, hey, Jason, I know you don't know me, but I got this guy. I know you were interested in YouTube. He's amazing, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to connect you. It's like, all right, sweet. Boom. Connected them. Great. Have a relationship with him. I'm now networking. I'm starting with value. What I'm trying to do is build leverage. Okay. Reinvented talks about this. Leverage is the key to everything. Okay. Every time. Why am I doing this podcast with you? One, because I want to promote it. But two, I want leverage, not necessarily over you, right? But like over everything that I do. I want to give. I want to be known as the guy that gives and gives and gives and never takes, never asks for favors, right? Because when I need a favor, guess what? I've got this $1 billion Rolodex to be able to go call favors in whenever I need it, right? That's leverage.
Absolutely.
That's networking. And when you can form win-win deals and you're the one that, instigates it, negotiated it, you've got the leverage, right? So you provide value to them and start networking, DMing, going to networking events. Facebook and Instagram are going to go pay to play. Facebook already's there. Instagram's going that way. So yeah, algorithms and yada, yada, they do play a role to a certain extent. But when you've got good content and know how to network, it doesn't matter. Because all I got to do is hit up a buddy of mine and be like, yo, dude, you got 3 million followers. Would you share my post real quick? He's like, all right, sweet. Share it. Boom. I've got, 1 million views. And so
it's all about the Dream 100, basically.
It's all
What Russell Brunson would say.
Yeah. I mean, on social, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm not saying if you're trying to grow an audience organically, if that's your business model, right? On the flip side of that, if you're like, dude, I don't want to be on social. I would rather not grow an organic audience. I've got cash or I'm willing to spend cash. I want to sell product. I want to build a real business and I don't give a darn about social. Then shut everything down. Don't post every single day. Go right to paid ads. And the only thing that I would do is figure out how to create a self-liquidating offer, $1 in, $2 out. Because if you can do that, and that's actually what we're doing now with the podcast. So what we're doing is we've created a self-liquidating offer. The second that self-liquidating offer goes $1 in, $2 out, I have an Amex card.
Free leads, guys.
Right, I have an Amex card.
Leads.
I go, team, spend as much money as you possibly can.
Yep.
Tens of thousands of dollars. I don't care. Why? Because I'm profitable. And then that's new audience growth. And so you just gotta, you look at what you're trying to build and what you're trying to do. If you want to grow consistently fast, paid advertising is the way to go. If you want to grow fast break, you want to grow in spurts, organic and networking, man.
Yeah, I think it's good to do a mixture of both eventually, because I think when you're involved in it to a certain degree, it's like keeping your finger on the pulse. Is that fair to say? You keep your finger on the pulse, you're aware of what's going on kind of inside it.
If that's your goal. So like, for example, with my agency, I have no idea what we're doing when it comes to running Facebook ads, and we run paid ads. I have no clue. I know who our target market is, and I know that that's what I told them to do, but I don't know what they're targeting. I don't know what the Facebook ads are doing. I don't know the retargeting ads. I don't know the images we're using. I know nothing. All I know is that I get a notification when a new lead comes in and I'm getting leads. Okay. Like that's it. So in that company, that's not my focus. I would never spend time on going and try to provide content and value and all that for those, because I'm going to let my team do it. I'm going to focus on that because I'm focused on building a business. Right. Yeah. But if I'm building this, that's an agency behind the scenes, work for itself. But if I'm building a social media business, or I'm building a business where I'm the attractive character and I want people to buy into me, if I want to get it to $100 million or $1 billion, then yes, I want to be involved in the process until I can systemize it out and go. Now, I think for most people, it is a good idea to stay involved a little bit longer than getting out of it quickly, because most people don't understand it. But for those people that understand it, this podcast. Well,
obviously you understand it. So
yeah, and so for me, look at me though. Like, dude, I mean, within 3 months, you'll see me all over social media. Maybe 6 months, you'll see me also over social media, but I won't be involved. Mm-hmm. Like I'll be creating content and then the team will chop it up and put it on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. It'll be all over the place, but I won't be the one doing it. So I think you do it until you understand it. And then once you understand it enough to systemize it out, hire the right people, unless you want to be famous.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. That's awesome, man. Well, yeah. I think we can go on and on here, Josh. I could ask you a million questions, and I'm sure, but we've kind of run along here. why don't we wrap up there? This has been amazing, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
Let's plug your launch one more time.
Monday, July 1st, thinkdifferenttheory.com/playbook, $3,000 giveaway. Actually, this microphone, Apple Watch, iPad mini, $500 cash, 25 different books probably, all sorts of fun stuff, AirPods, to promote the podcast. Yeah, I'm giving everything away.
Get on the waiting list, guys. Get on the waiting list.
Yeah, and the wait list, we'll link it down below. It's the joshforti.com link, and then that'll drop. And it's just to promote the podcast. It's to get the message out there of changing your life by changing your minds, what the playbook is all about. And I can't stress to you enough, like I designed the book in such a way that basically says, if you're dead broke right now, you don't have a dime, right? Like you have nothing, you don't have a single penny to spend, you can go through this and go become successful. Now, it's not geared towards that audience, right? It's geared towards the people that are, really wanting to go and change their life and go have success. But you don't have to have anything. Like you can go and start from scratch, from nothing, and go through this. And it's designed in such a way that if you just apply what's there, I promise you it will change your life. I would bet my life on the fact that it can change your life if you follow through what's there. So,
okay. Well, everyone go get on the waiting list and go get that download with all the freebies that might come with it. So, okay. Well, let's just end there. You guys, if you like what you're hearing here, if you like the audience or the guests that we're having on here, go like and subscribe. Go give us some feedback and share this with other people that you think would resonate with the message that we're talking about here. So with that, you guys go have an amazing day, and thank you so much. Have a great one. Take care.